Welcome back to Matsumoto in the Soul Space Garage. What does muscle car engine bay heat shielding in your 790 and 890 KTM Adventure R bikes have in common? Well, if you ride in hot weather, you're going to want to know. Stick around. Okay, we're back. So last year I was in Colorado on the high passes and in Moab. We did a high climb about 12,000 feet and we stopped to take a breather, look at the scenery, and I heard a whistling sound. It's coming from this area. Put my ear to it. Didn't sound good. Put my finger down here, pressed on the hoses, and the whistle stopped, so I could tell there was a pressure issue going on. Put the key in here, just cracked it ever so little, and the pressure was so intense it popped the cap open, sprayed all over the place, went up a good 2 or 3 feet. Real dangerous scenario. So in the event that you have that, make sure you have a rag or some gloves or something, and very carefully hold it down, make a shield, and just crack it ever so little to let it depressurize. If you open it too much, it will boil, and it did boil. I heard it bubbling and boiling. Real dangerous issue with hot temperatures and high elevations. I'm pretty sure elevation had a lot to do with it. So long story short, that night I took the gas cap apart because I did some research, and there's a small diaphragm in there for bidirectional pressurization, or if you tip over, fuel won't leak out of the tank. And I took it apart and took the small diaphragm out of there, and the following days I was fine. Moab, hot degrees, not a problem. Doesn't mean that the temperature is not extremely hot still, but this is a black plastic tank that fully wraps the engine, encases the engine practically. Not a good combination. Well, you know, muscle cars have been using a heat shield trick for a long time. Did some research. This is a proper fiberglass backed, high temperature adhesive, metallic reflective layer just for that very reason on the firewalls of powerful cars. So I got 2 sheets of this, pull the tank off, do one down the inside of one leg, one down the other side of the other leg, cut to trim, press it on, contact clean the whole thing, and run through that. And so stick around for the build. Installing the side fairing piece, obviously there's a bolt back there, there's a bolt here, and a bolt on the top that's underneath. But the catches are the 2 in the front, this locating push pin, and then there's an actual slide locator in here. So when you loosen all this up, you're actually going to go down towards the front. Don't try and peel it away. You could break this. Push it down. And here it is here. It's a standoff bolt, and here's the catch right here. Goes down this way and then goes on that way, similar to the rear pods. When you're undoing the fuel line from the throttle body area, there's this green circlip here, but a lot of people, they push too far down it and the whole thing pops off and goes down into the bowels of the engine. You don't have to go far. It's a quick release system. It only has to pop down. So just show you. That's it. That's as far as you have to go, and then it will release itself. It's a captive system, but if you push it too far, it will fly off. I hope this gives some perspective. You can see the U-shaped saddle style of the tank. Most of the gas is at the bottom, and then it very narrow in this area, but that area there is very close to the motor. You can see here that the bottom of the tank sits inside this area and then climbs up all the way over the top and down. The filler cap at the top is very thin, a couple inches thin, and then it spills down either side. So I have a 7-inch strip, going to run down the entire length, or should I say in here, and then a little extra down there. At this point, I've lined the inside of the tank with all the areas that are going to be subject to heat. This material flexes really nicely around the different shapes. The adhesive is very, very good. I'm really pleased with it, and you can see here, this is like fireman's suit fiberglass. It's the real deal. and a thick metal backing. It's rated for about 800 degrees from what I read. I was not sure how good it was going to be. I took a risk on it, but I'm really pleased. All right, so let's put it back together. Soul Space pro tip. When you have fuel lines or important lines that can't have any dirt or residue in them, twist up a little bit of paper towel or shop towel and twist it into it and pull out as you twist. And it pulls any dirt that might have gotten on the inside edge there, and you kind of clockwise and pull out, kind of like a Q-tip idea. And then leave a big enough flag and leave it in there. And then there's another one here. This happens to be the crossover fuel line. There's two petcocks. Here's the first one. There's a crossover fuel line across the front of the engine bay to the other one. And we just want to make sure that nothing gets into those while I'm doing my work around here. And of course, the fuel line itself has a plug onto the end of it. And then down here, here's the actual crossover line. I just put a bolt into it. Just when, that way if it doesn't bang around, it doesn't pick up chunks of dirt and have it sit in there, because the bottom line is getting anything after the first fuel filter I have is going to get sucked into the fuel pump filter, and we don't want to deal with that. Okay, small pro tip. When reinstalling the tank, the grommet's got to come down and slide onto this plate, one on each side. And the problem is that when the tank comes down, it wants to start, that grommet wants to start banging on things, and it might take 4 or 5 tries to get that to stay in on both sides. I'm always chasing it around. So this has to be on the inside of the tank. You can see it's going to easily fall out. There's an elongated hole here so that it can, the tank can be adjusted a little bit. But the point being is that this will fall out very easily. So what I'm doing is on this side I'll show you, I jammed a piece of hard shell foam in there. It kind of wedges in really tight. So once the tank is in place, then on the outside edges, I'm just going to pull the hard shell foam out and align the outside and the bolt and be done. Well, since I had the tank off and apart and doing a cleaning, I figured I'd check out the in-tank filter that I put in last year. It's a Googletech filter. It's a very, very high filtration level, or should I say very small micron level. This will even catch water as well as fine particles. So anything for bad gas from pumps that's going to go in, this is a really smart idea to have, because before it ever even gets to anything in your internal filtration systems, it's a smart idea. So I want to just do a little quick note. The gas cap catch is right here for the locking cap, right there. And if you mount the neck collar, you drill some holes around it and you mount the neck collar so that the front is down a couple 3 millimeters and the back can be up a little higher if needed. Works slick. And then when you put it back in the tank, just make sure that it's kind of flat and some of it's this way, some of it's that way. They give you a little zip tie to kind of poke it around. But that's the deal on those. So the tank is reinstalled. The mount here and the pair on the other side, 10 Newton meters, it's not much. I did use a torque wrench for it, even though I'm pretty good with what that is, but I wanted to just double check it. Both of the crossover fuel line is connected again. Blow it out with air and fuel so you haven't collected any dirt in it. Open both petcocks, common often forgot. Remounted this line, the drain line from up here, it had gotten pinched, so I got a new one of those, and it's mounted here to drain outside of the what I'll call the engine bay, if in the event that there's a gasoline overflow. So that's mounted, and I just showed you I cleaned all up in the gas filler neck area and checked the Googletech filter. So I guess I should probably check and see if it runs before I put all the rest of the stuff back on. All right, I did drain the tank, and I'm going to put some fresh non-ethanol fuel in it. So let's see what happens. And when reinstalling, it's very easy for this to not actually get pushed in. It takes a little bit of a bow to get it to catch under here when you slide up. So that's often neglected. You think you're all put back together and good, but it's actually sitting on the outside. And if you do take a hit, you'll snap this off because it's slamming into it. So that's my tech tip on your side fairing. Okay, you can see the installation went fairly smoothly. This is a dangerous issue. I got sprayed with gas, and I've had it happen to me more than once, and other people I've seen online have had this issue. It's a cool bike. I love it. Don't get me wrong. But that tank wrapped around the motor, I think there wasn't a whole lot of foresight in that. Long story short, between these couple hacks I've pointed out to you, take care of yourself. Be safe. Secondly, I did the entire job with the tools that I carry. Do that as much as possible. I cannot preach that enough. Use the tools you carry with you to do your jobs. You will soon find out what is failing you and what you need to replace. All right, on top of that, like down here, subscribe down here, hit the little bell button and change the selection to notifications so that way you know when I've got new stuff coming out, okay? This is all 790 and garage hacks. Bam, I'm out. Cheers, thank you.